So over the last couple of weeks, the Beatles have seen a bit of a resurgence in the Finch household, with my two daughters, Ivy who's 7 and Florrie who's 5, suddenly taking an interest in their tracks. Now this is because they found a video on YouTube of a band called Walk Off the Earth doing a 4-minute medley of their tracks, which, by the way, is really good. I'd definitely give that a listen. So naturally, I picked up my guitar, played around with a few Beatles songs, which led me to realise that shamefully, I'd never actually bothered to learn the song Yesterday. I think I knew it was in G, and it's a fairly easy song to figure out, but I noticed really quickly that I struggled to sing the high notes. Now, a quick search online and listening to the track again reveals that Paul McCartney actually tuned his guitar down a whole step to D standard tuning. That is D, G, C, F, A, D. Now this isn't an open tuning, it's a standard tuning, so all your regular chords will still work the same, everything's just tuned down 2 half steps. So the song Yesterday is actually in the key of F, just played using the G chord shape. It's a whole key or 2 semitones lower than if you were to play it in G in standard tuning. So did he do this to simply make it easier to reach the high notes? And if that's the case, why didn't he just play the song in standard F, which admittedly would have been a little bit harder to play? So was Paul McCartney cheating? I don't think so. And I'm going to give you 3 reasons why I think Macca chose this tuning and why I think you should try it too. So stick around to the end. Now we can't deny the fact that it is easier to sing the high notes with the guitar tuned down. And I've no doubt this would have been one of the reasons why Paul chose this tuning. But Paul famously had an impressive range when it came to singing. And the high note in this song, if played in the key of G, is this high G, which Paul would have had no problem at all reaching. Just listen to Oh Darling on Abbey Road or Helter Skelter on the White Album and you'll hear Paul singing at full rock and roll capacity. But once singers pass a certain note, which for me is probably around the F sharp, the voice either needs to go much louder, like what we typically hear in any rock style singing, or it needs to go into falsetto, which is that kind of sweet choir boy high-pitched sound. Now, I don't think either of these would have worked in this song. Yesterday is a raw and pure, from-the-heart emotion track that just wouldn't have suited that gritty, broken-up rock voice. Conversely, a sweet falsetto, I think, would have sounded a little forced and not so honest and genuine. So did Paul cheat playing Yesterday in F? No, I think it was absolutely smack on for this song. Now, we can use this technique with our own songs or when performing covers, not to cheat, but to play appropriately to our environment. Imagine you're at a dinner party or a friend's house and inevitably someone hands you a guitar and barks at you to play Don't Look Back in Anger. Now this is a loud sing-along song that has some big old notes in there that you may well be able to reach. But is it going to sound good in your mate's living room on an acoustic guitar with you wailing at the top of your voice? No, you'll probably sound like a drunk. So quickly tune the guitar down a step, which will make you look like you know what you're doing, and play the same chords, only sung a whole key lower. You'll give a beautiful, intimate rendition of a classic rock and roll sing-along, incidentally making you look like a pro. So back to the question of did Macca cheat? If F was the right key, then why didn't he just play his guitar in F using regular tuning? As already mentioned, the chords would have been harder to play, but any average guitarist would be able to play them. Why go to the trouble of tuning your guitar down if not to make it easier to play? Well, I think as with singing, it is just easier to play the chords in G, so why not? But it's also important to remember the context or tone of this song. It's an intimate acoustic song with only vocals, an acoustic guitar and some accompanying strings. So the guitar needs to shine just as much as the vocals. Now, if you're a singer-songwriter or regularly play acoustic guitar sets, you'll know that G is just a great key to write and perform songs in, as the typical chords in the G scale, G, C, A minor, D, etc., make use of open strings and often the full 6, which allows the guitar to ring out. It tends to just sound better than if you were to use F, B flat, D minor. But this is the bit I wasn't expecting. The guitar feels different when the strings are tuned down a whole step. This is because tuning down loosens the strings, which completely changes the tension and the way the strings vibrate and resonate. It doesn't just sound like a different key, it sounds like a different guitar. chords sound loose, slinky, even a little sleazy. Kind of like you've had too many beers but are still sober enough to walk to the bar and put in another round. It's a little bit more difficult to get your chords to sound correctly intonated, making them sound slightly out of tune. But I think it sounds kind of cool. And again, really plays into that laid back, stripped back and intimate vibe. For me, I seem to play regular songs differently. Whether or not it's because it sounds different so I subconsciously play differently, or because the strings physically feel different. Either way, I feel a little bit more creative and perhaps a tad more accomplished. Give it a go and see if it affects the way you play or if your songs feel any more intimate. I'd be intrigued to know what you think. And finally, if you don't tend to veer out of standard tuning, then this introduces us to alternative tuning, but in a comfortable way where we don't have to learn any new chord shapes. I remember for years wanting to try open D, open G, or hearing people say things like dadgad, but part of me didn't want to change the tuning of my guitar out of fear of messing something up or just not knowing what to play once I'd done it. And when I did finally learn a song, it always frustrated me that I could only play that one song. I'd then have to change the tuning back because none of the normal chords worked. Well, D standard means that all the normal chords work, and while technically not an alternative tuning, it gets us used to twisting these things and not feeling like you'll have ruined your guitar or your ability to play in the process. It's sort of like an entry drug, a way of dipping your toe in the water. And with developing on guitar, we always want to be pushing ourselves to try something new. I truly believe that there's no such thing as a guitarist that knows everything there is to know, that's reached some sort of level or pinnacle where there's nothing else to learn. And if you're at a point where you know your way around a guitar, but you've yet to dabble in alternative tuning, well then, this could be a good way of getting your toes wet. So let me know your thoughts on this. Did Paul McCartney cheat, or was it just another genius Beatles move? Would you like to see more on alternative tuning? If so, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to gently tap that like button, subscribe if you will, and I'll see you in the next video.